Hi, this video is a tutorial on how to apply your Ginny G-Shock color filter. Now, to do this process the best way possible really, it's helpful if you have these tools available. It will just make the whole process a lot easier. You might not necessarily need all of them, but they're good to have just in case. So of course you're going to need your filter. You'll need a watch. Today we are doing the Humble F91W. This process can be done with pretty much all G-Shock and Casio watches. Here you can see I have G-Shock that I've applied my gold filter to. But obviously the inner workings of these watches are all different. So what I'd recommend is get the number for your watch, whatever identification number it is. Obviously for this one it's Casio F91W, and just search on YouTube teardown videos and you'll get a better idea of how the watch is, how all the pieces go in together, so when you put it back together you don't mess it up basically. Alongside your watch and your filter you are going to need screwdriver. This is just for getting the screws off the back. You're going to need some Q-tips, spring bar tool, not necessarily on this watch, but a lot of these G-Shocks, this one for example, you have to take the straps off before you can take the back plate off. So that's good to have. Double-sided tape, some sort of scissor and knife combo. Here I just have a Victorinox. You can also use a Stanley knife. I've got this one here. Masking tape. This isn't essential, but it's good to have because there's a gasket on here that needs to be lubed. If it's a brand new watch you should be okay, but if it's an old watch it's a good idea to have something like this, and this is basically just lubricant, and you can pop the gasket in here, and then when you go to put the watch back together you just give it a quick lubrication and then you can put it back in. That's good to have but not essential. And then a ruler. This just helps when you're measuring up your filter. Some tweezers, any kind. I've got a couple here. This is like a plastic one and then metal. You also need a bit of card. This is what we'll make our template from to use on our filter. And then a pen of some description. So yeah, that should be everything you need. Now that we've got everything, we can get straight into it. These filters are larger, much larger than the watch you're going to use them on, as you can see. When we made these, the thinking was you would be able to get multiple uses out of it. And also, if this is your first time doing it and you mess up the first go, well, you can always have another go. And each pack comes with two of these filters. So for this watch, for example, you'd probably get 2 out of here. So with 2 filters, you get 4 attempts. So we'll start by taking apart the watch. If you have gloves and you would like to use them, it's a good idea. But if you don't worry. I prefer not to use gloves because I prefer kind of, it's easier for me to just use my hands. When I get gloves on, it starts to all feel a bit weird. So we'll start by taking off these screws. Make sure you don't lose these. As soon as you got them, put them somewhere safe. It's good to have a little working mat like this so that you can just pop your bits there and not lose them. Right, now we got the back cover off. Just gonna grab tweezers, pick this up, place it over here. Have the gasket here, just going to pull that out. I'm going to put that straight into here and just leave that there so it doesn't get a bunch of dust on it. Now I'm going to take out the module I'm going to use my spring bar tool to do this. There we are. And this is our module. We can leave this over to the side for the moment. I recommend putting this, the back cover, on the back of the watch. That just stops any more dust getting into the case. So now we have this, we can start taking some measurements and make ourselves a little template out of our card. So width wise, I measure about 22 to 21 mil, and then top to bottom about 11. 22, 21, 11. So then we'll get our card. Let's measure it out. I'm going to do 21 mil. Like that. Now, keep in mind, this doesn't have to be exactly perfect because we're going to basically cut it to size on the watch face. Another thing to keep in mind is on a lot of these G-Shock Casio watches, there's obviously this faceplate as well. So even if you do it a little bit, even if you make this a little bit smaller than the actual screen, don't fret, because more often than not, the face plate is going to cover up any gaps between your filter and the side bit here. Okay, so once we've got that, we'll cut that out with our snips. And there's no specific card or anything you need here, just any generic old piece of card, because this is just a template and we're gonna throw this away after. Right, so we have a little template. Let's see how this looks on the watch. Could probably come down a hair on the sides. Let's do that. See how that looks. Okay, so you can see there, I've cut it down to shape. It's a little bit, it's not reaching the borders, but that should be okay. Right, now we got this, we need our filter. Let's get that there. It helps if you hold it up against the light and then you can see, you know, where you can put the filter. I recommend doing it right in the corner, because you can see here, look how much extra we've got. So if this messes up, or you want to do multiple watches, you can do that with this filter, because there's, you know, multiple orientations you can cut out using the template. So let's get a little bit of double-sided tape. We'll put it on here. Just going to snip off that excess. Okay. Take off the other side of the double-sided tape, like so. And then we can apply it to our filter, like so. Okay, and now get our Sharpie again. We're going to draw around the filter, like so. The template, sorry. Also, when you're cutting this out, keep in mind you want to be cutting within the lines, because if you cut outside the lines, it's going to be too big. So now when I'm cutting this, I also don't want to cut too far past over here, because then I'm just wasting the filter. So we'll keep the cuts neat, tidy, and you'll be good to go. There we are. So now we have ourselves a little filter. We've got this as spare for other projects, so we can put that to the side. Let's have a look and see if this will fit. I believe it will. Looks pretty good. Now the scary part. So we want this screen to be as clean as possible before we put the filter on, because we don't want, if we have any dust in here, you're going to see that there's going to be little bumps. So my preferred approach is to, firstly, if you have one of these, amazing. If not, don't worry about it. But what I like to do is blow off some of that dust, and then we're going to grab our masking tape, take a little piece off, and then don't put it on straight away like this, because it is it's quite tacky like this, and you might disturb the LCD. So just put it on your trousers a few times and just get rid of that tack, and then I'll apply this here. There we are, just to get rid of all those last little bits of dust. If you have a tough solar watch, you're going to see two springs here. Just be careful that you don't put the tape on the springs, because when you yank on those, you might damage them. Okay, so now the tricky part is getting this guy on. So I'm going to peel it back like so. Don't peel it back all the way, just hold it like that. Get your tweezers, try and grab it right at the edge like that. Pull the rest of the filter off. And now we'll apply it to the watch. Here we go. So once it's on there, get your Q-tip, start at the left side or the right side, and then slowly press this down. So that it covers the entire screen. Don't be too forceful with it. It's just enough to put the filter down. There we go. If you happen to get some overhang over the module, that's not the end of the world. I have done that on this watch. And what I mean by overhang is where the filter it doesn't sit flat on the screen, it does kind of go over a little bit. If you do mess it up and you need to do it again, right now the filter is easiest to take off right now. Once this has been on the screen for a few days, it will be a bit tougher to take off. You can still take it off, it's just a little bit tougher. So that's all on there. Now all we need to do is reassemble the watch. First thing I'm going to do though is just apply a bit more air. You can also use the tape as well. Going to take this back plate off, spray a bit of air in there, and just make sure you have the watch the right way round when you put the module back in. So I know this is right. So once I flip this round, I just turn this around like this, Pop that there. Depending on what model, you know, Casio G-Shock you have, sometimes these just kind of slot into place. Other times you have to depress the buttons a little bit just to so everything sits in there properly. So I'm going to do that just now. I'm going to take tweezers and gently guide the buttons, the button levers I should say, into position. Like so. Then we're going to get our gasket again. I'm going to lube it up a little bit. Depending on what watch you have as well, the orientation of this can matter. So I just want to reiterate that if you're doing this on a different watch to this F91W, make sure you watch a disassembly video on your particular model, which you'll be able to find on YouTube. And then make sure when you're doing this that you're pushing down all the sides just to make sure that that gasket's seated in there properly. Move this out the way. We'll get our back plate, which the text always aligns upright with the text on the watch as well. So put that there. We'll get our screws. This can be a little bit fiddly as well, so just take your time with it. Now I like to go in an X pattern, so I'll go here, 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 here. This is just so it creates even tension on the back and the gasket doesn't slip out or do anything weird. When you're tightening these screws, you don't need to go super hard. On this particular watch, and well, many of the Casio line, the back of the watch that these screws screw into is plastic resin, so if you over tighten that, you're going to strip that thread, and then these screws aren't going to go in properly. So just keep that in mind. You don't need to go super tight on this. Once you've done that, reveal the watch, check that everything's working, your beeps, check that all the buttons work. Go, and that's it. There is your gold filtered F91W, which actually looks really cool. It's quite vintage. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and thank you for your purchase.